Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are here yet again for lesson 7 of Cultivating Changemakers. It's great to have you here as always. Remember, please feel free to give us a follow, hit subscribe and the bell. You might wake this one up that way. And of course, if you're feeling so inclined, do go on and why not buy us a coffee. I definitely need a coffee. So I hope you're all well. This week we are talking all about fashion. And as you can see, I'm certainly some kind of fashion guru. Or maybe not. So this week we're looking at the impact of fashion, but also the impact that you can have on fashion and what you can do for fashion. Remember, if at any point you want to stop, you can just hit the pause button. There is, of course, a worksheet which is available. All you need to do is check out the description box and feel free to go ahead and use that one. This is one of my favorite fashion quotes from one of my favorite fashion people, Ursula de Castro. And she says, the most sustainable garment is the one already in your wardrobe. Basically, wear what you've got. Quite often you don't really need a whole lot more. You can wear what you've got. Maybe you could swap it with somebody that you know. I know obviously with children that refuse to stop growing. What's that all about? We do need to get new clothes as they continue to grow and grow and grow. However, that said, there are ways of finding clothes, doing clothes swaps, speaking to other people who are slightly bigger, but also extending the life of those clothes. And, when there's a rip, just sew it, just fix it. Even if there isn't a rip, why not add a patch, style it up, make it look as good as possible? So the big question is, can fashion really be sustainable? You've got a choice of 3 there. Of course, maybe, and probably not. Now, I think it's very difficult for fashion to be sustainable, to be fully sustainable, because you're always making things. Second-hand fashion, thrifted fashion, upcycled fashion, that's a great way of being sustainable. But if we're looking at the fast fashion lines, and even the slow fashion lines, let's be honest, is it really sustainable? Not particularly. Recently, there was a survey that said 70% of shoppers want to know how their brands contribute to social and environmental issues, but only 46% of these actually considered that before they bought their clothes. How about you? Do you stop and think about what you're going to buy? Pop it in the chat box. Let us know what you think. And the next time you're out shopping, think, where did this come from? Look at the label. What does it contain? Is it one of those new items of clothing that are 60% made out of plastic? Where did it come from? Who made it? Who made your clothes? Stop and think. So we do have some fairly hideous facts coming up. Unfun facts, as they were called in the first and second series. But let's see if you can figure out the answers to these. Dun, 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 dun. What percentage of materials used to make clothing goes to landfill or incinerators? What do you think? Which one could it be? I'm not going to reveal the answers until the end, but I will slowly reveal the questions. So there's question 1. Have a think. What percentage do you think it is? Let's be honest, it should be 1%. Because everything that's made should come straight back into a nice circular economy. It shouldn't be sent to landfill because, hey, that's cheaper than doing anything else. Or, even better, why not burn it? Yeah, great idea. That's a really good use of of resources, especially when 60% of clothes now are made of plastic. Terrible idea. What percentage of water pollution is caused by dyeing fabrics? What do you think? What do you mean? Why am I singing Justin Bieber? I don't know. There's no reason for it. No rhyme, nor reason. Let's see. What percentage of new clothes are plastic? I've mentioned it twice, so it should be an easy one for you. Letter D. How many garments are recycled? What percentage? And finally, what percent of global CO2 emissions are a result of the fashion industry? What do you think? So, if you're stopping and thinking, if you're writing your answers on your worksheet, feel free to hit pause. Otherwise, let's go. The letter A. A whopping 87% of materials that are used to make clothing go to incinerators or to landfill. That's only 13% that don't. 9% of the world's water pollution is caused by dyeing fabric. 9% of all of the water in the whole world. 60% of clothes are now plastic. Of new clothes are plastic. A terrible, a disgusting, a disgraceful 1% of garments are recycled, despite all of that lovely greenwashing that we get from H&M about, their loop machine, and from ASOS, who are talking about their circular brand that actually makes up 0.035% of their thousands of lines that they have available. Fast fashion brands are not doing enough at all, in any way, shape or form. They are absolutely not doing enough. It is not okay. So finally, the last one there, 10%. 10% of global CO2 emissions are as a result of the fashion industry. So the next slide I've got is not titled particularly nicely, but I'm going to jump straight over to it now. I don't know if you've ever heard of Shein. Well, Shein are some of those wonderful folk who have they've gone beyond fast fashion, in fact, and they've moved to ultra fast fashion. They're very clever with their branding. They use some small level influencers, with a reasonable number of followers. They pay them, they give them a whole bunch of stuff, and they also invite them to their factories. Now, one of them said recently, in one of the factories where they visited in Guangzhou, one of the automated factories they visited, they actually said out loud, in one of the 6,000 factories that Shein uses, by the way, one of 6,000 Shein uses, they weren't even sweating. We were the ones sweating. Thank you, Destine Sudath. Thank you very much for that impactful and meaningful quote that you've done there. Thank you very much for showing the world just how wonderful Shein are and the great things that they're doing for the planet, and of course for the workers that they're definitely not exploiting at all. So that was one quote. And in a recent statement, in fact, when we were at the World Retail Congress, the CPO of Shein said that they'd asked their wearers, their users, their buyers what they do, and some of their customers were wearing their clothes up to 10 times. Wow, up to 10 times. I've worn this pair of underwear more than 10 times this week already. Up to 10 times. Is that sustainable? Do you think that's sustainable? How often do you wear your clothes? I know a lot of my students from the Wednesday session said, I wear them until they break. Even then, we can repair them. We can fix our buttons. We can fix our rips. We can keep moving on from there. So I'd like you to take a moment to read this here. A couple of things here. Fashion Revolution developed a tool called the Transparency Index that analyzes different brands on human rights, environmental policies, and so on. Shein scored 0 out of 20. 0 out of 20. Zero, as we would say in Spain, zero patatero. Nothing. They are not doing anything at all for anyone except themselves. And in another study that was done just last year, they were looking at how many different lines were available in different fast fashion brands. We can see that Gap listed 12,000 lines, H&M around 25,000 lines, Zara, who we often look at as the real bad guys here, 35,000 lines. And Zara, of course, were the ones who brought out fashion every single month. Shane had a whopping 1.3 million different lines. Every day, new things coming out. Every day, filling the stores and filling our eyes with brand new things that we can use and we can buy, and just general, all round horrible, disposable fashion. So, one way around this is to look at it from the youth point of view, with a wonderful, wonderful view from Junk Couture. We're going to speak to Son Soles now. And when we do go over there, I'd like to think about these questions. Where is Son Soles based? How did she hear about Junk Couture? And what was her dress inspired by? Here's Son Soles. Come back to interview time. We've got another fantastic guest today. We have Son Soles joining us here from Madrid. Hello, Son Soles.
Hi, good morning.
What is Junk Couture and how did you hear about it?
Well, Junketer is some kind of organization that wants young people to create fashion designs with recyclable or renewable materials, basically with plastics, with cans, with litter, litter.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard about it because I had one teacher that was my favorite teacher, and I heard her talking about doing a dress or just something with
5 minutes left.
plastics.
Well, 10
So I
minutes.
was having this subject that was called CAS, that is creativity, solidarity, and activity, where I had to do different things according to, well, just recycling or doing volunteer things or things like that. So I got interested and I told her that I would like to do it.
Can you tell us about the dress?
Well, the idea of the dress came because I was doing a project on 18th and 19th century gowns. I thought let's do something from our own home, from the wastes of our own homes, because it's not only of going out and taking our plastics that other people throw away, but also the ones that we throw away.
So there we go. Of course, some of the questions there. Where is she based? As we know, of course, you'll have your answer there on your worksheet. She is based in Madrid. She heard about Junk Couture from her favourite teacher, and her dress was, of course, inspired by 18th and 19th century gowns. So there was Son Soles from Junk Couture. Come back to interview. Jump back in there. Now, a few ideas of what else we can do. We've got some visible mending, renting, thrifting, and clothes swapping. So, do you think you can choose which image, which word is which? You've got about a minute. Time's a ticking. If you need more time, just smack the pause button and you'll be there. I'm giving you less than a minute. Why wait? You'll just hear my dog snoring. Estrella, stop snoring. She doesn't listen. The first one is, of course, thrifting and second hand. The second is clothes swap. The third is visible mending. And the final one there is renting. Let's see if you can match those up to the images below. What do you think? Hit pause, put your answers in the chat box. See what else you can decide on there. So as I said, that is an option of pause. We are going to move on finally to what can you do. Now, I'm sure you have loads of ideas and I would love for you to send them to me, Renewable English or harry@renewableenglish.com if you're emaily inclined. Email is a word, right? Here are just a few different things we can do to make sure we're keeping fashion as sustainable as possible. Firstly, take care of your clothing. Put it away properly. Hang it up. Don't throw yourself all over the place in it. Treat it nicely. Demand transparency from the places that you buy. Repair your clothes, upcycle them. When they are at the end of their life, use them for something else. Second-hand shopping, I like to go to Vinted. It's always good. Buy less. Do you need that much? I don't think so. When it comes to Black Friday, excuse my language, but Black Friday, we don't need that many things. Do we need that many things? We don't need that many things. Advocate for change. Be a voice for change. Speak up. Make your voice heard. Boycott ultra fast fashion. Seriously, Shane, nah, not cool, not okay. And of course, participate in clothes swaps as often as you can. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is about that. So remember, like and subscribe, give us a follow, and of course, buy us a coffee if you want. That's all for today. It's been a pleasure as always. I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.